Multicon, I'm Ray from 100 FSS Marketing, and I'm here to show you how to make my favorite gaming snack, soft-baked chocolate chip cookies. I got this recipe from a user called Avery Cooks on Pinterest. It does have a special secret ingredient that I think makes all of the difference for these cookies, and that is switching out some of the butter for cream cheese, as well as using more cornstarch than I would usually use in a cookie and plenty of light brown sugar. Comes out being the perfect soft-baked, light, fluffy, still kind of gooey, very chocolatey chocolate chip cookies. This recipe does suggest using a stand mixer. If you don't have one, it is not the end of the world. I certainly don't have one, so I used an electric mixer. But also you could get away with using a blender if it has the flat blades, like a Ninja blender. But hand mixer or stand mixer does do the best job. We're gonna start with our butter. This calls for 1 stick of softened butter and 1/4 cup of cream cheese. Now, if you are in the United Kingdom like I am, then your butter might come in a big block and you may need to measure it out. So grab your food scale and measure out about 110 to 114 grams of butter. That's about equal to a stick of butter, and it will certainly do the trick. Add your softened butter to a large bowl. Then add in your 1/4 cup of cream cheese. It is important that this cream cheese and this butter be softened, and we measure out this cream cheese by, to quote the recipe, smooshing the cream cheese into a 1/4 cup and then scooping it into the bowl. The recipe also cites that it is important that we use a block of cream cheese rather than a tub or a whipped kind or a low-fat kind. Combine your softened butter and your softened cream cheese, then add in 1/4 cup granulated sugar and 3/4 cup light brown sugar, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, room temperature egg. Beat on medium-high until light and fluffy. In a stand mixer, this will take about 5 minutes. In a hand or electric mixer, this will take about 7 minutes. And if you're using some kind of blender with blades, it can take anywhere between there, but do make sure you're using the type of blades that whip, not just chop. Stop and scrape down the sides of your bowl and then start adding your flour mixture. If you've pre-mixed your flour mixture, you can just gradually add this into your wet ingredients. Or this is a recipe you can get away with using just one bowl. I did not do that here. Use the larger bowl for the dry ingredients. So you'll see that little switch real quick here. In your pre-mixed or not pre-mixed flour mixture, you're going to have 2¼ cups of all-purpose flour. I did happen to use bread flour because it's what I had in the house, and I do kind of prefer it for cookie recipes. Then one of the other strange secret ingredients is 2 teaspoons of cornstarch, then 1 teaspoon of baking soda and optional salt. I choose to use slightly salted butter as well as the optional salt to offset all of the chocolate we're going to be adding. Mix this until it's just combined. It might take about a minute. Now it's time to add the chocolate chips or chunks. I happen to have semi-sweet chips, semi-sweet mini chips, milk chocolate chips, Hershey's chocolate, and some Baker's semi-sweet melted chocolate. You can use any combination of these to make up 2 1/4 cups. I have made all kinds of combinations, but today I'm going with regular semi-sweet chocolate chips, some mini semi-sweet chocolate chips, 1 Hershey's chocolate bar, and some milk chocolate chips. If you'll be using a Hershey's chocolate bar, be sure to chop it up into pretty small pieces. Since this is such a melty chocolate, if you get a huge chunk in your cookie, it may just make it fall apart. The chocolate's been folded in, we're going to scoop and pre-ball the cookie dough. Be sure to take off your rings before this step because we will be rolling this dough into balls before we chill it. The recipe suggests that you use a 2-inch cookie scoop. I don't have a cookie scoop and also don't like my cookies to be that large, although the baking time does stay the same whether you decide to do a slightly smaller or slightly larger cookie. I just grabbed a regular spoon from my table and did make two different sizes. I made one that takes about the whole spoon and one that takes about half the spoon. Roll each of these into balls. Place the dough balls onto a plate, wrap with plastic wrap, and then smoosh down a bit with another plate. We are going to chill these for 2 hours at least. Once the dough is chilled, it is quite hard to manipulate, so it's best if we ball these up and smush them down before we chill them. This may seem like a strange step, but it does make sure that the cookies bake evenly. I got about 36 dough balls. If you decide to leave these in overnight, just be sure that you take them out and let them come to room temperature for about 10 minutes. Now that we've chilled our dough for 2 hours and preheated our oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius, we're going to go ahead and bake our cookies. These take about 8 minutes per sheet. We're going to have to take the sheet out, rotate it, and put it back in to be sure that these cookies are baked evenly. So into our preheated oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius, we're going to bake our cookies for 4 minutes one side, take out the pan, rotate it, and put it back in the other way for another 4 minutes. After 8 long minutes, we're going to let these cookies rest for between 1 and 5 minutes. This really just depends on how long you can physically wait or how gooey you'd like them to be in the center. I like my cookies quite gooey in the center, so I wait about 30 seconds before popping these off the pan and putting in the next batch. If you decide not to make all 36 of your cookies at the same time, this dough keeps in the fridge for about 5 days or in the freezer for about 3 months. Baked cookies will last about a week in an airtight container. Once you finish baking and let your cookies cool, they are ready to enjoy. Enjoy these soft baked chocolate chip cookies while you game, have a glass of milk, a milk alternative, tea, coffee, or really anytime. Bye, Mildacon.